We are starting today talking to a Florida author. The book is called Florida Palms, and it takes readers back to 2009 during the time of the Great Recession. This gritty debut novel follows three friends whose furniture moving job turns into a deadly run-in with gangs, drugs, and tests of loyalty. Author Joe Pan is joining us to tell us a little bit more about his debut novel. So welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so before we get into the book, I want to hear a little bit more about you. You're from Florida. You're from the Space Coast.
Yeah,
correct?
I grew up in Melbourne, Palm Bay area and lived there for 18 years before leaving for North Carolina.
But you're not, this is your debut novel, but
It
you're
is.
no stranger to books, right?
No,
Books
no.
have definitely been part of your life, right?
Yeah, I've published 5 poetry books, a couple nonfiction books, and I run 2 small presses, Brooklyn Arts Press and Augury Books. Brooklyn Arts Press was the smallest publishing company to win a National Book Award in poetry, actually.
Yeah, well, you know, why write a book now? Why was now the time to do it? Or have you been secretly writing, just not publishing them?
That's actually the case. So I have been working on Florida Palms for about 2 decades.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And I've written other books in the meantime, but I knew I wanted this to be my first one because I really wanted to, you know, showcase a part of the Space Coast that's often overlooked. We hear about the space industry a lot. My grandparents, all of them worked for the space industry in some way. But my father was a jail guard. And so I saw both sides of that economic coin, and I really wanted to show the stories of these young kids as I lived it.
Yeah, and so I was asking you earlier if this book comes from experience or if it was all kind of thought of out of thin air.
Yeah, well, there are some stories that have a basis in fact, but of course, once you start writing the thing and you start writing characters, you're finding new ways to explore that old material. So yes, some of this has some roots in reality, but and I did a great deal of research,
Yeah.
but it becomes its own thing as you write it.
Okay, well, let's talk about it because it's a gritty
It is.
thriller. Okay, am I describing it correctly?
Yeah, it's a slow burn crime
Slow
thriller.
burn.
A good friend of mine called it the Redneck Godfather,
Oh, okay.
and that's people really like
Love
that.
that, yeah.
But really, it's a coming of age tale about a group of young kids fresh out of high school. They don't have a lot of options, and they're trying to figure out what to do with their lives. And they're all working for one of their friends' fathers, who's this burly old biker who did some time and then came to the Space Coast in order to start anew. But because of the time, it's the Great Recession. It's a time when houses are now worth $20,000.
Right.
Whole neighborhoods are being bought up by people. Needs to, you know, make ends meet. And so he sees this guy, Bird, the biker, sees this group of young kids as a cohort that won't turn on each other. And so they begin running drugs up and down the East Coast.
Yeah, okay. And so, you know, is this a book that is going to turn into maybe a series or is this a one and done?
Well, it's funny you should mention series. HBO picked up the option, and we've been working on the series for television.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much.
Is this breaking news?
No.
Are we breaking news right now?
I can't talk too much about
Okay.
it, but we've been doing it for a little while, and it's a lot of fun. But in terms of like it being a series, I have written a second book sort of in draft form. I'm not sure if that's going to ever become a thing.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just focused on this one.
Yeah, well, how fun was it for you to kind of take where you grew up and kind of put it into a book?
I can't tell you, the experience has been, well, that was difficult
Yeah,
because
okay.
like you're thinking about all of the problems that people go through, all the struggles. My mother was a single parent raising 3 children. Like you're going back into those places and that could be tough,
Yeah.
you know? But at the same time, I just spent some time at Palm Bay High. I haven't been there in 30 years. That's where I went to school.
Yeah.
And I taught a class 2 days ago. And just being back in that room and talking to the kids and talking about how literature happens everywhere,
Yeah.
right? Because I remember reading books. I was in Iowa. I went to the Iowa's Writers Workshop, and there was a book there, Jesus' Son. It was set then. I remember going to all the various places. There was different bars, and there were different locales that registered, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I know this. And so talking to the kids, talking to friends that showed up for readings, just seeing that is really, it's wonderful to share that experience. This really is a love letter to the Space Coast.
Okay, I love that. And do you have any advice for young writers out there?
Keep going.
Keep going, yeah.
Because there's always going to be a lot of things in your way. It's going to be work, it's going to be the pressures of daily life.
Yeah.
But if you really truly believe in a thing and you in your heart want to show a story that can't be told by anybody else,
Yeah.
that's your responsibility. Keep going.
Okay, and you have some events coming up, or at least one in our area, right?
Yes, absolutely. So Tombolo Books tonight, 7 p.m. Looking forward to that. And Safety Harbor Library tomorrow.
Oh, okay, so two.
Two?
Okay,
Two
perfect.
events.
All right, and where can we get the book, most importantly?
Well, I would say go to Tombolo Books and get the book. But
can.
you could buy the book wherever books are sold.
Okay, perfect. And of course, you have a website too if people want to find out more about
Yeah,
yourself.
find me at joe@joepan.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sharing your book
Thank
with us.
you. Thanks for having me.